Get to your kitchen, gather up some spoons. It's time to tango in the black sun. This is Blenderstyle, where we talk about extreme blended music. Today we're talking about Soundgarden, Superunknown, released in 1994.
Cheers,
Holy
gentlemen.
boys.
Holy shnikes.
The first time I heard this album, I can't remember the year. I was very young because I was trying to smoke incense. It was with
We've all been there.
Yeah.
I tried smoking tea.
I've done that too. Anyways, it was with a friend, and he brought the tape over, and I think it was that and like a Sublime compilation his brother made for him, and I enjoyed it then, and I enjoy it still. So I just wanted to bring it to the table and see what you guys thought about it.
I absolutely have heard this album because when MTV started playing Black Hole Sun on fucking repeat, it was impossible to avoid it. I think I'm pretty sure I bought the CD in the mid 90s. It's the first Soundgarden album I got into. There was definitely stuff before it, like Bad Motorfinger, etc.
This is their fourth release. Yeah.
Their fourth one, and but I never really got into those before that. I got into this one first, and it's just there's a lot of music here, so it kind of kept me interested for a long time. So yeah, I've been a Soundgarden fan ever since this album came out.
So
What
I'm
about you?
opposite of you guys. I don't think I've ever listened to this album all the way through.
How
Really?
is that
I
possible?
was into Bad Motorfinger.
Half of it was on MTV.
So-
I'm aware of that.
How did this is? I know this story, but how did you get into Bad Motorfinger?
Well, Matt, it's funny that you should ask that. So back in my teenage years, we had a video game, Road Rash, on the 3DO.
What? And that's Panasonic.
Well, it was 3DO was a company, but Panasonic made it. Gold Star made one. They licensed it.
It's like a console that was
Yeah.
like short
It
lived.
was the first 32-bit. I think the first 32-bit is marketed as the first 32-bit.
So it was an unusual game console that
Yeah.
had the game Road
But they
Rash,
had Road Rash on it, and
and it had
it
tons
had
of great music.
tons. Yeah, some A&M, I guess, pretty much gave all the rights for any of the music on it. So they had like Soundgarden and Monster
Like
Magnet.
4 of your favorite
Paw,
bands are
really?
from that.
I don't remember who else. Therapy was on it. Like there's a bunch of stuff on it.
Really? On this video game?
Yeah.
And you would listen to the music while play. It was like before.
Yeah, so like in between
Tony
like the
Hawk.
cutscenes and stuff like that, and I mean the in-game music when you were riding the motorcycle was just shitty video game music, but then like they had
that's
full motion video cutscenes and stuff like that, and then they had even music videos for some of the songs on there.
Oh, that's cool.
Because it was a disc-based system,
Yeah.
and they could put lots
Yeah,
of.
they could put full motion video on it, so it was like, look how cool we are! You could play a full motion video game.
Because I had always heard of 32 ounces.
Yeah, to freedom.
Yeah. Well, that's 40.
Oh, so
Speaking of Sublime,
so Rusty Cage was on that. And I don't remember what other song was on there from Soundgarden because there was like 2 from each band.
Outshined.
Was it Outshined?
I think so. Yeah.
And so I bought Bad Motorfinger based off that. And it was all right, but it wasn't really up my alley. So I never really got into this. And I'm with you. This thing was played so much on MTV that I think I never cared.
I got sick of Black Hole Sun. I
Yeah.
still kind of don't like it because
I feel you.
I heard it so many
I
times.
feel like this album was played so much back in the day that I just avoided it. It's kind of like Nirvana. I avoided Nirvana because it was played so much.
So I
back
had
in
the
day.
CD and I listened to it, a bunch when I had it, and then kind of put it away and never listened to it again. So when you picked it, I was like excited because I know it's good,
Mhm.
and I was like, but I haven't listened to it in years, like decades.
It's nice to also listen to it with mature ears.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
Like when I first listened to it, I just liked it because it was like heavy, and I saw Black Hole Sun on the MTV, Spoonman.
Like there's scary faces on there.
But I completely agree. Black Hole Sun and Spoonman are the worst, or I don't want to say the worst tracks, but the tracks that I could skip.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really good about that is they're back to back.
Yep.
You just,
Oh, yeah.
but what I really love about this record, going back to it, I mean, I've always been a fan of this record and I've always gone to it. But what I really love about this record is this sounds like a live band. This sounds like a band. And that's something that we kind of lack nowadays.
This is a band, Nathan.
But you get what I'm saying. Like you can.
It was analog.
Yeah. That's something that you kind of lack now.
True. Good point.
And I just really love that about this record.
I think it's the genre's probably technically grunge, but to me this is just rock. It's like hard rock.
For sure. This got lumped into that grunge because of it was around the same time.
It was in Seattle,
but
too.
I kind of feel like maybe their earlier stuff was more grunge worthy, like title worthy than this. This was like what you're saying. This was more rock.
But they kind of dabble in a couple different genres.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's hard to really pin down. I guess grunge makes sense, but it's more of a rock album, in my opinion.
Sure. Yeah. I hear rock. I hear metal for sure. And I hear stoner metal. I think also at times, even a couple tracks, you even hear like a 60s sound to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a lot going on here. A lot of emotions and a lot of vibes. Like
for sure. What I love about it too is that it can be really dark, but then like some brightness can kind of come out in it. You know what I mean?
Like fun parts.
Exactly. And then, and also like, he could be singing about some pretty downer shit.
But it doesn't sound I get you.
You know what I mean?
Because that was one of my notes on this this is a downer album. This is a dark album. Like
for
lyrically.
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But it doesn't come off as...
But it doesn't make you feel gloomy.
No, not really.
His vocals are amazing.
His voice is amazing. I wouldn't say his vocals are amazing, but his voice is amazing.
Let me explain this.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't use any like super catchy vocal patterns really throughout this. His range is good.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah, his voice is awesome, but he doesn't use any of those
He's
tricks.
not doing like super technical like patterns and stuff like that.
Things like that really want to hook you on it. I think most of the hook on this is coming from the musicianship of the band.
I think it's a... I'm going to disagree.
Okay.
Chris Cornell's voice on this is a key component to it.
Oh, for sure.
The band is critical. It's one of these rare bands where like all of it kind of comes together.
Mm-hmm. They all fit
like
together.
Pantera.
Yeah.
Minus Rex.
Yeah, you need everybody to... Did you say besides Rex?
Yes, a minus Rex.
Oh, dude, Rex is a... Let's not get into another Pantera talk, but Rex is a damn good bass player.
Anyway.
He is. He is. The drums on this are just...
Matt Cameron's sick, dude.
So they sound great. The beats that he's coming up with are awesome. I love how like even at times there's like even like bass like solo fill parts even in it. This is very diverse, very forward for 1994, I think.
Oh, totally.
Especially like, they're lumped in with all these other bands and stuff, bands that I love. But this record is just, it's groundbreaking, man. Like,
see, I don't agree with that. To me, this was right along with the sound of that era. There was nothing that stood out on this compared to what was out at the time.
You said new stuff doesn't sound this live, and I kind of agree, but I'm going to disagree with you, Casey. This holds up. This holds the fuck up.
Yeah. I think people are even trying to this day to have a guitar tone that sounds like some of this. You know what I mean? Like this is
interesting guitar playing.
Oh yeah,
there's some good guitar playing in this. And I think maybe my comment was taken out of context. I'm not saying like the tones and stuff, because they had their own. They were very distinctive in their tones, like guitar and stuff. But I'm saying the musical style was right up there with what was coming out at the time. I don't
like
think
what other bands though.
Alanis Morissette.
No, this sounds nothing.
Oh, okay. I knew what you mean.
Yeah.
It definitely has that like 90s sound.
Yeah, it's like, and I think maybe that's why they got lumped into that grunge genre.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But
I think also because it just came from Seattle.
Well, yeah,
this doesn't sound anything like Alice in Chains.
No,
it sounds nothing like Nirvana.
It has like the contrary vocal lyrics and stuff like that. Like, he was in Temple of the Dog.
God, that was horrible.
You don't like Hunger Strike?
Fuck no.
Can we just say Eddie Vedder is a good vocalist
Oh
too?
hell yeah!
Chris Cornell slaughters him on
for
that
sure.
album.
Like Chris Cornell's vocals were, like, honestly, his vocals were probably the best part of Soundgarden. Actually, his vocals were probably the best part of Temple of the Dog and Seattle.
Yeah.
And what was that really shitty band that he put out after
Audio Slave.
Audio Slave.
Big disappointment for me.
God. But yeah, I like where they were trying to go with this. I feel like the record label or whoever produced this album knew exactly what they were doing with it. The mix is really good. Like every song on this is mixed really well. The pacing on this works out perfectly because there's a good song, like a good heavier fast song, followed by a kind of a slower song, followed by another faster song, followed by a slower song.
Different moods,
and they kind of space the singles out. And that's my big gripe about this is every single one of these songs on this album that became a single was played to death.
I would disagree. There's 5 singles on this out of 15 songs.
Mm-hmm. No, but that's what I say. Every single that was on this got played to death.
That's why I agree it did get overplayed.
Yeah.
But I think the reason it holds up is because my biggest takeaway from this is fucking bangers, dude. There's so many good songs on this that just stand alone.
I don't see it.
This is one of those albums where like my favorite song has changed over time so many times.
Mailman is like
Mailman's my current favorite.
Freaking too. What is it?
When I was a kid, it started with Spoonman, right? I love Spoonman.
Yeah.
And then it switched to My Wave. I really got into My Wave for some reason.
Yeah, that's another one that comes like third into. So it's like Spoonman is definitely the one I want to skip. Black Hole Sun, and then definitely My Wave is the third one. But
I like My Wave.
Head Down is great. Fell on Black Days, man.
Amazing.
Like,
beautiful
I
song.
could still listen to that, and it just hits, man. Emotionally.
Yeah,
it's an emotional
song. Range on that one.
The Day I Tried to Live, like, that guy's belting out vocally, dude. And some of those riffs that they're interlocking in with this. I think this is a very innovative record. Mm-hmm. I think bangers. And like how you said, like, this is for its time. There's like vocal parts and areas which, I don't think they did this on purpose, but like a doom metal band called Windhand sound in some parts like this. So I feel like this is just very innovative and actually before its time for some things.
And you think other bands are kind of still picking from this?
I definitely think bands are still trying to.
They're picking from the Soundgarden corpse.
Yeah, there's a array of oregano.
They're harvesting the Soundgarden.
Yeah, there's a pepper garden, and it's still hot.
Hot.
So Fell on Black Days, I feel like was played out back in the day. It's a good song. Day I Tried to Live. I'm with Nathan on that one. That's like probably one of the better songs on this album to me. And Kickstand to me. Those are like the 3 songs that I like on this album.
Yeah.
The only songs I feel like I only have one beef with this.
Uh-huh.
It's way too fucking long.
Dude, it is so long.
It's 15 tracks, 70 minutes. Head Down, you said you liked it. That one feels long to me. It's 6 minutes, and then like Suicide, the last track.
That is such a boring track.
I'm like, can we just get over with this already? It feels like Suicide.
Yeah.
It's like 7 minutes, and it just kind of, I just want it to be shorter. They could knock off 3 tracks on this, and it would be a perfect album. But it's too fucking long.
I also feel like if they cut 3 tracks off of this, it would probably have to be the ones like that they played the shit out. The singles.
It's just because we've heard them.
Because we've heard them so much. Yeah.
And that's my point too. That's what's kind of shit. Like, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Like the songs that I would want to see go
are
the songs that kind of make the album.
Yeah, exactly.
They're that's the time.
Yeah.
Those are the songs that you hear and you're like, oh, that's the 90s, that's grunge. But there's so much more that is going on.
Well,
with
MTV
this.
and them know what they were doing. They're like, these are good songs. We have to play the shit out of them.
But there's also a counter argument I can make to that because Black Hole Sun and Spoonman are two of the most overplayed songs on this album, to where all three of us could agree we could care less to hear them again.
Yeah.
But
it was nice going back and hearing Black Hole Sun with new ears.
But at the same time, you could listen to Metallica 1, which was played out probably more than these, and not have the same "I'm done with it" feeling as you are with this. Which goes to my argument that these songs, while good for the time, they're not great songs. They're somewhat boring and dated.
You're making a good argument. I don't know if I agree, but your comparison of, because there's other songs.
I'm just shocked that you said something good about Metallica. I'm kind of speechless.
I was just kind of letting it go. I'm like,
no, I strategically.
I get what you're saying.
I strategically picked it because I know it's something that you guys both like.
Okay, like Inner Sandman overplayed and because it's not a great song.
Yeah, the fucking Bible group came to the school when we were in like 8th grade or 9th grade and played it with their power band or whatever the fuck they were. And it's still not as played out to the point where I could, like, I don't like Metallica. It's no fucking secret, but I could listen to those over these.
I could listen to this while cracking a beer. I can listen to this on a rainy day. I could listen to this on a day where I want the whole fucking world to burn.
But can you listen to this on the day you try to live?
That's every day. I'm trying.
All right. You're not falling on black days on this right now, are you?
Yes. Also, I think this is maybe like, okay, so it was a beginner one for me, right?
Yeah.
This is something that I would show my nieces. This is something that I would show my nephew or somebody, that's getting into, heavier music.
And I could see that.
And there's something good about that. There's something that says like, it's like the Doors or something, you know what I mean? Like if you're going to
share it,
if it's been around this long,
it's accessible.
It's exactly. And why this album is so much, why I hold this album so high also is like, I'm not really the biggest Soundgarden fan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
I thought the one after this was a complete dud.
There's a few good songs.
Yeah, your brother bought it.
I could 100% say I never listened to any Soundgarden after this album.
And it took...
Well, there's only the two, I think, right?
Oh, I don't know.
I believe so. It's
Bad Motorfinger's good.
Yeah, what is it? Down
but there's
the
also
or
that
something?
one gets
the next one, and I don't know.
I think Bad Motorfinger also has some duds and filler.
Oh, for sure.
So, and this is their 4th record, right? So I feel like in this 4th record, them as a band like just totally came together. And
yes.
I think
they nailed it.
They nailed it. It came out good. This is a timeless record. I think in 10, 15 years, we're still going to be talking about this record.
I have the same kind of... I agree with you. I think this one, they finally came together. I hold Bad Motorfinger in a higher regard, and I went back to that one when I was doing this because I was like, dude, this song sucks. This song sucks. This song sucks. I was like, okay, so there's, what, like
that's weird.
5 or 6 good songs on here. And I was like, Bad Motorfinger was a way better album. I went back to that and I'm like, no, it's about 4 or 5 good songs on here too.
This is way better than Bad Motorfinger.
And it might be. I didn't go back and listen to it. It's just I hold it in higher regard because that's the one, like Nathan said, that's the one I grew up listening to.
Like nostalgic.
Yeah.
So like we obviously got to bring up other bands that were around this time, right? Nirvana and stuff like that. And like take like Nevermind, right?
Mm-hmm.
An album that also has like tons of singles on it, right?
Yeah.
But Nirvana's Nevermind had cheesier singles on it than say Soundgarden's Superunknown. I feel like Superunknown was darker, more mature, more musically
I 100%
inclined.
agree with that.
And
you don't like Nirvana.
I don't like Nirvana.
I think Nevermind's amazing.
I do too. I think Nevermind's
but I didn't listen to it then. I listened to it later.
With mature ears.
Yeah, but I never, it didn't get played. I was playing this back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think this is better.
I think sometimes when something's shoved down your throat, especially when you're a teenager, you want to rebel against it.
And maybe that's
right?
where I'm still
It's
at
like your
with
dad
this.
telling you to
I've-
brush your teeth, you know? Listen to Superunknown. No, Dad.
and maybe that's my issue
Fuck
with
your
this,
dad rock.
because like
Now I'm a dad. I'm like, yeah, that's tight.
the songs that were shoved down my throat as a kid, I still to this day I'm like, I don't want to hear
Still
it anymore.
bothers
you.
It bothers me. And then there's just not enough. The ones in between, I feel like, that weren't the singles are too mediocre.
No, I think
Dude,
those are
it's
the
banger,
gems.
banger,
See, I
banger,
don't
banger,
think so.
Agreed.
mediocre, mediocre, banger, banger,
To me,
banger.
this album was boring.
Oof.
It just, it didn't pique my ear.
That's
and you know what?
surprising.
And you know what
Like,
else?
this is so good.
You're
maybe,
wrong.
Maybe
No,
it's
just
also
wrong.
because the session that we're on right now, it was two really good fucking metal albums compared to this, and so this just seemed real stale and dated to me at the
so
time.
sad.
You're
But-
breaking my heart.
Yeah.
But I think even back in the day, I never really got into this album.
You didn't. I remember.
I think you just didn't really. I feel like you just didn't really like anything that was like grunge era.
No, I like Paw.
You like Alice in Chains, which is more
No, I
metal.
actually don't like Alice in
Yeah, he
Chains.
doesn't like Alice in Chains.
You don't like grunge, dude.
I don't.
Yeah,
Maybe that's it.
And, yeah.
To each their own.
Yeah.
it's
All right.
What would you rate it?
What
then?
would you rate it?
I gave this a 3.5. To
That's
me,
still a high score.
yeah,
Then
I have to give it a decent score because I'm with you. Musically, it's good. They found their sound. The musicianship is good. Chris's voice is on point through this whole thing, and his range is fucking awesome. And
dude, stellar, man.
And he puts a shit ton of emotion in the music, so I can't knock him on that. I have to give him props for that. But for my taste,
Respect.
I just don't think this is a good album. I think it's boring. I think all the songs are super downer to me. The few songs that aren't
why I like
downer, the few songs that aren't downer are played the fuck out to where I just could care less if I ever hear them again in my life.
Couldn't care less.
I could care less because it's like right there.
All right, fair.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, to me it's a 3.5. I mean, it's good, but it's not my cup of tea, and I wouldn't choose to listen to this album.
So again, Nathan, I'm glad you picked this because, like I said, I have this CD in my garage somewhere, and I haven't listened to this in forever, and so I was kind of excited to like put like the Blenderstyle ears on because we go deep on these things
Yeah.
and really get into it again. And I was stoked. This is a 4.9 out of 5. The only
Wow.
reason it's not a 5 is because it's too fucking long. You know what I mean? But it's just there's so many really, really good songs on this.
Mhm.
It kind of overstays its welcome. I think they could cut like two or three songs. But I think you were saying if you cut too many, you're kind of like cutting what makes this good too.
Yeah.
So you can't go too far, but that's my only beef, dude, is just it's a little too long, but that's a 4.9 for me. Almost perfect album.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a 4.9, boys. I'm gonna listen to this on my way home.
That's awesome.
I don't live an hour away, but I'm gonna get to the good songs.
It's longer than an hour, Nathan.
Yeah.
This was the whole reason.
So what's your beef? Why is it not a 5?
I would agree with you 100%. I think that it gets a little long. There's some songs that I could probably do without, and that's 2 of them. Black Hole Sun and Spoonman.
See, I don't even mind those anymore. Like, I'm listening to Black Hole Sun again after not hearing it for probably years.
Well,
It's a good song. I get
it
why.
is a good song, and that's why it's only a 4.9. It only knocks it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. That's
like even in Black Hole Sun, like the vocal part where he does like a little layered scream,
Mhm.
dude.
Sick.
I didn't even realize it, because I go back to this record and I skipped these 2 songs and I've had to listen to it,
Right.
and I'm like, holy shit, there is good here.
It's epic. It's an epic song. But I hear it now and I can't not see the video at the same time.
Yeah.
And the video's annoying, kind of.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
fucking
horrible. It looks. Yeah. That's dated.
That's dated as fuck.
That's dated. I feel like this is like they were in 2022. This came out in 1994. Insane, man.
Really
Yeah.
good pick.
You gotta get. I mean, it holds up. I'm not gonna knock it for that.
Dude, I thought you were gonna totally fucking.
No, I just
you gave respect where respect
I'm
is
not,
due,
I'm not
and
ever
that's
gonna
awesome.
I'm not ever gonna
Appreciate
not
the
give
honesty.
credit for credit, but it's just not my cup of tea anymore. I mean, I don't think it ever was. But just going back and reaffirming it, I'm just like,
I think you like it.
Reaffirming that I'm not a fan.
I think you like it more than you did then. More now than you did then.
I'll say I never listened to the whole thing back then, so I never gave it a chance.
Okay.
But like listening back to it now, like back in the day, I'd never heard My Wave. So that was decent. Other than that,
But you get why people like it.
There's not a song on here that I had not heard before that I liked. Put it that way.
Okay.
It's the singles and then My Wave. And I don't even know, that might have been a single back in the day.
I think that is a single.
Okay.
This is Blenderstyle. That was Soundgarden. Superunknown. Get off my wave.
Blend hole, son. Won't you come?